here for A Baker's Passion, and I'm going to demonstrate how to put together a very simple but very elegant fresh strawberry tart. All we have to do is basically have a completely baked pastry shell to put the tart in. And one thing to keep in mind, if you don't as yet own any tart shells, you can use any oven-safe baking dish to line with your pastry. Line the dish to pre-bake that pastry with aluminum foil, weigh it down with rice, because if you don't weigh down the sides of a tart shell, very often they'll just sink. And then you can use a pie shell or anything else to create the tart and just assemble it as I'm going to show you how to do today, and just cut it as you would any other pie or tart, okay? So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is talk about what you want to do with your strawberries to get them ready. You want to get your tart pastry made. Then while the pastry is baking, it's a good time to make your pastry cream. Pastry cream is very easy. I'm not going to show it in this video simply because I'm trying to compress the videos to as short a time as possible. And it's a cream that's thickened, but it's based on two thickening agents, the egg yolks and starch. By putting starch into the egg yolks, we really stabilize them, so that allows us to actually boil a pastry cream. So an important thing to remember, when you're making creme anglaise, there's no starch in that egg yolk mixture with the sugar, so you can't boil that mixture. But with a pastry cream, I happen to use cornstarch because I like the lightness that it gives you in the finished cream. But because we're stabilizing our egg component, we're able to boil the cream. So whenever you make a pastry cream, as long as it has either flour, arrowroot, cornstarch, potato starch, any of them are appropriate. I prefer, as I said, the cornstarch. You make sure that you bring the cream back to a boil, then turn off the heat. Okay? So I made the pastry cream ahead of time, chilled it, and our pastry shell has been made. The thing you want to do next then is rinse your strawberries in a colander flush them really well under running cold water, and then you want to hull the strawberries. And that simply means taking the strawberry, using a paring knife, and going in, and I like to go in on a slight angle, and just go right around the bottom of the strawberry so that the piece that I'm removing is kind of conical shape, okay? Once all of your strawberries are prepared, there's another trick that I think is interesting that you can do, and I'm going to show it to you. If you're new at this, it's a good idea, if you do have a tart pan, take the removable bottom piece, put it down and arrange your strawberries on it, and you'll get kind of an idea as to how you want to lay your strawberries out on your finished tart. So I'll show you right now how that looks, okay? Okay, so here you can see that I've placed the tart pan bottom, the removable bottom, down on the surface, and I've arranged my strawberries so I get kind of an idea where I'll place them when they go into the baked pastry shell. My pastry cream is ready to go. It's just about at room temperature, and if you look closely you can see the silver of the metal frame here. Okay, so let's get going in assembling our tart. The only other thing I want to talk about for a minute is the final glazing. I always glaze my fresh fruit tarts except for fresh raspberries because they're so delicate. I generally just sprinkle some powdered sugar on a fresh raspberry tart. So here we go. I've got my apricot preserve ready, and let's start assembling our strawberry tart. Okay, so Pastry cream, whenever you make it, you put it in something that it'll chill in and then be stored in, and always lay a layer of plastic wrap right on the top of the actual cream. That way you don't have skins forming. So what we're going to do here I like to use an offset spatula to evenly spread the cream. And if you have a larger one, it's okay. I like the little guys for doing this particular job. And just spread that cream out and give yourself as a plaster. Pastry cream is wonderful. You can flavor it. I do have a chocolate flavored variation on my blog and an orange flavored variation. The chocolate is actually great, and there's another tart that I make with the chocolate pastry cream. The only thing is I use a different tart pastry, and I just make a big cookie and put the chocolate pastry cream almost over the entire base of the cookie, and then sit the strawberries on it and decorate it with some powdered sugar and things, and it's a wonderful recipe. And I think I'm just going to place a little bit more pastry cream in here. And then we'll start placing the strawberries on the tart. Okay. Put another strawberry in there. And actually one little tiny guy right in the center. So there we go. We have all of the strawberries placed on the tart, on the pastry cream. Now what we're going to do is put a very light layer of apricot preserves that have been melted. And what I like to do is put a little bit of cognac and a little bit of orange juice into my apricot preserve when I melt them to use it as a glaze. When I melt it to use as a glaze. So I have a little pastry brush, and this I find is really the nicest way to be able to glaze any tart, is using a small brush. I have larger brushes, but you really want to use the smaller brush. And what you want to do is cover all of the fruit completely and cover the surface of the exposed pastry cream, because if the tart sits for more than a couple of hours, the cream will start to crack and not look terribly appealing. So if you put a glaze over the cream also, it really helps with the final appearance of the tart. So let me finish this, and then we'll do the grape. Okay, I'm just about finished glazing the tart, and one thing I do suggest is that you glaze the outside of the pastry. It just makes the overall presentation that much more elegant and effective. So there we have it, our beautiful French style pastry tart, Tarte Fraise, with very simple vanilla pastry cream, a sweet sugar pastry, and we glazed the whole tart in the apricot jelly. Now, everybody's probably thinking, how do you cut it? Well, my suggestion is use a bread knife, a serrated knife, and as you're cutting into the tart, actually saw. Now, I used 2 quarts of fresh strawberries to make this tart, and there are only 3 or so strawberries left. And it takes about a single recipe of the pastry cream. And now I'm going to see how well I did with the dessert. Okay, now for my favorite part of making every video or of working in the kitchen, and that's the tasting. So I've cut a piece of our strawberry tart, and now we're going to see how wonderful it is. It's amazing, guys. Believe me, it's easy, simple, and I think it's something that almost any level of baker, a novice, middle of the road person, or a person with a lot of experience can do, and do beautifully. And just think of how you'll dazzle your friends with a dessert like this. It's something you can't buy, or if you did buy it, you'd pay an arm and a leg to buy it. It's a great dessert, it's wonderful, and I encourage you to try it. Thanks a lot, and I'm Ray Madursky.